It's time for part 2 of my September 2019 release videos. So many books, so many amazing books coming out this month. So many. So I had to split it into 2 videos. So I'm here to tell you about the books that are coming out at the end of the month. So let's get started. Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. It's Russell with Ink and Paper Blog. Happy Monday. It is really Monday. I can't believe that I got the date wrong on my last video, but whatever. I'll take it. It has been a busy month. But happy Monday and happy start of your week. I hope that fall is starting to finally crawl in for some of you guys. It's still pretty warm here, but it is nicer than it has been. So I cannot complain. I can definitely not complain about my reading. It has been phenomenal. I had a great weekend. I went to Napa with some friends from work. It was fantastic. So yeah, I really cannot complain. So I hope you guys are doing really well too. As I said, this is going to be part 2 of my 2019 release video. So, as always, get out your pen, get out your paper, get out your Goodreads, however you keep track of your TBR. If you are so able, please order these books from your local independent bookstore, or have your library order them, however you can get them in your hands as soon as possible. I do want to make a small caveat. Some people did point out that I missed 2 pretty big releases coming out on September 10th, or came out on September 10th. I have to say, I didn't think that Margaret Atwood really needed my help in letting you guys know that on September 10th, The Testaments was coming out. Don't think that I wasn't at a bookstore on September 10th buying my copy right away. I'm pretty sure that everyone knew this book was coming out. It had a bit of hype. But this is the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, just in case you missed it, and it came out on September 10th. Another author that needs nothing from me, really, is Stephen King. He had a new book come out on September 10th. Someone pointed out I didn't talk about it. I have a very love-hate relationship with Stephen King. I actually really like him as a personality. I enjoy him on Twitter. He used to write these articles for Entertainment Weekly at the end of the year where he would talk about his top 10 reads and top 10 movies and top 10 TV shows, which I would read religiously and take notes on. He's very, very articulate. His book on writing is one of my favorite nonfiction books. However, I love his storytelling. I just think he needs an editor so bad most of the time. I don't know a ton about his new book. I do know that I read about the premise. It sounds really interesting, so I'm probably gonna hunt out some booktube reviews before I dive into it. But just in case you are a huge Stephen King fan and you didn't know that his new book came out on September 10th, I have told you now. So go out and get it, read it, and then tell me if I should go get it too. So we're going to be starting on September 17th. So the first book I'm going to tell you about is On Division by Goldie Goldbloom. This is coming out from FSG, so thank you to them for sending me this copy. What's really interesting, so there's this little blurb in the beginning. It says that Goldbloom tells a deeply effective and affecting, is actually what it says, morally insightful story and offers a rare look into Brooklyn's Hasidic community. Did a little bit more research on the Hasidic community. I knew it was part of the Jewish faith. Didn't know a ton about it myself. I know now that it was a revival that started in about 18th century Poland, and it really focuses, I should pull up my computer and read this so I'm not paraphrasing. So let's do that real quick. It says it's a particularly invested on inward devotion and not just external observance. It's taught that the sincere service of a simple person can be worth as much as that of a scholar. So I think that sounds really interesting, but this is really the story of Suri Eckstein. She is a woman, I think she's in her late 50s, and her husband is in their 60s. They have 10 children from their 30s down to, I think their youngest is 13. And their life is starting to sort of wind down from all the kids being in the house. She has just a few left that are going to go off, and her husband are trying to decide what they're going to do next in their world. And she finds out at 57 that she's pregnant with her 11th child. And that really throws her. She was not expecting it. She didn't think it would happen. And it sort of causes her to have a secret because she's not ready to tell everyone that she's pregnant. And it's the first time she's really held on to a secret. And it changes. I like the way that it's worded in the blurb. It says, She is unable to share the news even with her husband, and for the first time in her life, she has a secret that slowly separates her from the community. So I think that sounds really good. I first heard about this book actually on my friend Chris at Chris's Bookish Cauldron, his channel, and I have been obsessed with reading it ever since. So that's On Division by Goldie Goldbloom, and it comes out on September 17th, 2019. Okay, the next book I'm going to tell you about is an author that needs very little introduction, and that is Attica Locke, and that was your introduction because most people know her and a lot of people love her. This is Heaven, My Home. It's a Highway 59 novel, and this is the story of it's about a little boy, I think he's 9 years old, who is trying to get home. He's crossing this lake on this boat, and he's late. He knows he's going to get in trouble, and he blacks out. He disappears. No one knows where he's at. So then we have Darren Matthews, who is a Texas Ranger who is brought in. He is dealing with his own sort of sense of darkness. He is really sort of lost in what happened in his last case, and he's trying to fight his way through. And he gets brought into this case, and he has to be brought to a part of Texas that deals with even more racism than he is used to. And I like what it says also here. It says that the little boy's disappearance has links to Darren's last case and to a wealthy businesswoman, the boy's grandmother, who seems more concerned about the fate of her business than her grandson. So I think that this is going to be for every Attica Locke fan. I think it's a good place to start if you want to become an Attica Locke fan. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I've read Bluebird by her, but it was so long ago. I probably should go back and reread some Attica Locke's backlist in order to sort of get myself ready for Heaven, My Home. But there you go. So this is out. And this is out from Mullholland Books, which is an imprint of LittleBrown. The next book, gosh, and I want to thank again FSG for sending me this beautiful finished copy. And this is Stephen Price's Lampedusa. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm really excited about this book, and I'll tell you why. So this is a fictional account of Giuseppe Tomasi, who wrote a very famous Italian novel called The Leopard. And this is a fictional account of the writing of that book after Giuseppe finds out that he has terminal cancer. And he is thus rushing to get his book done before he thinks he will pass away. Now, I have heard from Sarah over at Hardcover Hearts that The Leopard is a phenomenal book. And I am on the hunt to get a copy. I just have not been lucky enough to find it in any of the bookstores that I have gone to. So I am on the verge of having to order it from somewhere. But I'm still giving myself, I do travel a lot, so I'm going to try to find it in a couple of different bookstores before I read this fictional account of the creation of that book. I think that would be a nice, very interesting tandem. So again, this is FSG. This is Lampedusa by Stephen Price. And look at that. It's just beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. I'm into that. A book that needs no introduction because I love every year when one of these arrives, and that is Jenn Campbell's and Katie Harnett's new Franklin and Luna adventure. And this is Franklin and Luna and the Book of Fairy Tales, and they're just great, you guys. If you have little ones in your life, or if you just like beautifully drawn stories with just great storytelling, this one has to do with fairy tales. Look at it. It's just so good. So good. And I just love it. This comes out on September 17th. I'm not sure if it comes out in the US and the UK on the 17th. I think it does, but don't take my word for it. But get it. I recommend all of the Franklin and Luna books. There are now 3. One has come out every year for 3 years now. Get them as a trio. Give them to a little reader in your life. They will definitely thank you. My friend Shauna told me that her daughter, who I gave the first one to 2 years ago, is still obsessed with it and reads it all the time. So that is Franklin and Luna and the Book of Fairy Tales by Jenn Campbell and illustrated by Katie Harnett. I want to thank Thame and Hudson for sending me this beautiful, beautiful copy. It has a little signature in it. I just love it so much. Okay, so that is September 17th. We're moving on to September 24th now, okay? You guys ready for the next stack of books? One book that I've already read and absolutely love. This is out and been out in the UK. Actually, you guys are getting book 2 of this, and I'm so jealous. And that's Pages and Company, The Book Wanderers by Anna James. It has a slightly different title in the UK. This is the story of a young lady who lives above and works in a bookstore with her grandparents, who finds out that she has the ability to enter books and talks to characters. Turns out that there's a whole society of people who can do this. There's a mystery about her mother who has been missing, who her father is, and her ability to go into the pages of books. She takes her friend. It's a best friend story. It is utterly adorable, and it's just fun middle grade fiction. I highly recommend it for any middle grade writer in your life. It is definitely worth the time. So that's Pages and Company, The Book Wanders by Anna James. Loved it. So I got this from Philomena Books at Book Expo America, so I have to say thank you to them. Already read it, already loved it. We'll be picking up my finalized copy. Loved it. Okay, the next book I want to tell you about is A Fist or a Heart by Kristin Eriksdottir, translated from the Icelandic by Larissa Kaiser. I will talk more about this book. I've actually read this book already. I want to thank Amazon Crossing. This is the translation part of Amazon Publishing for sending me this book. I loved this book. And I'm not going to review it here, but if you are a fan of Amelie Nothbaum with a mix of Milan Kundera, that's how I'm going to say this. With a little bit, it's so good, you guys. This is a story of two women. One is a woman in her 70s who works for she creates props for movies, for theaters. She's well sought after, and she's very isolated from the world. When she gets hired to do a prop for a play that is being put on by a 19-year-old playwright, a young woman who is very closed off from the world, but her father is a very famous writer that the propped woman knows, and sort of how all that story goes together. We learn about them. It's got that sort of that feel of like introspective literature, and it just has so many good lines. The translation of this is utterly stunning. I will talk more about it in a read and review, but please, this one is definitely worth your time. I have not read a lot of books from Iceland. I know that they produce a lot of books per capita for their little tiny country. So that's A Fist or a Heart by Kristin Eriksdottir, translated by Larissa Kaiser. This book won all sorts of awards. So it won the Icelandic Literary Prize in 2017, and then the Icelandic Women's Literature Prize in 2018, was nominated for the Nordic Council Literature Prize in 2019. So you guys, definitely worth your time to dive into Icelandic literature with this one. A Fist or a Heart by Kristin Eriksdottir. This is from Amazon Crossing. There you go. The next book I'm going to tell you about is The Shadow King by Maza Mengistu. This is coming out from Norton Books. I've actually started this one. So this is great. So the intro tells you what inspired this. So this book is set in the 1930s, 1935, in Ethiopia, when the Italians and Mussolini were starting their invasion of Ethiopia and their takeover of that country. This book was inspired by the fact that the author found out that her great-grandmother went into battle as a soldier during this time. So there was a call out from the emperor for the oldest son to come out and to fight against the Italians. Well, her great-grandmother was the oldest child, and so she went out. And that is what sort of inspired this story. So we have the main character. Her name is, Hirut, H-I-R-U-T. So she's a young woman, and she is taking care of the wounded during the battle with Italy, when the emperor of Ethiopia sort of disappears. And people in Ethiopia start to lose hope. So she's involved, this is a fictional story, she's involved with the creation of sort of putting someone forward that is the emperor so people don't lose faith, and she becomes a warrior in the war. This book, the first part of it, is so good. This is going to be an epic fantasy. Epic fantasy, that's not what I meant. An epic story. I usually use epic and fantasy in the same sentence. There you go. An epic story. I think if you are fans of books like Kintu, or if you are fans of like the Old Drift, sort of that sort of involving storytelling, you want to just really dive in, this book is going to be for you. So this is from Norton. It's The Shadow King by Maza Mengistu. Highly recommend from what I've read so far, guys. Really enjoying this one. Very good. Another one that I'm about a quarter of the way through, and I'm going to hold this open because this is not what the cover is going to look like. And that is Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer. This is coming out from One World Publishing. I'm going to hold it like this so I don't have to hold the book open. This is the tale of a young boy during during slave times here in the United States. His mother disappears and he sort of gains this supernatural power, and one day he falls into a river, sort of makes this power come to the forefront, and he decides he's going to flee. He's going to flee north. And so when he makes that decision, it begins an unexpected journey that takes him from the corrupt grandeur of Virginia's proud plantations to desperate guerrilla cells in the wilderness, from the coffin of the Deep South to the dangerously utopic movements in the North. I have only read his nonfiction, and I've also read the first of the Black Panther series comic book from Marvel. It is excellent. And what I have read of this, the first quarter, or probably more like a third of it, he is a phenomenal writer, you guys. He is just so blessed with talent. He's just so good. So if you are looking for, I have a feeling we will be talking about this book quite a bit now that award season has started. But that is Ta-Nehisi Coates' The Water Dancer, and this is out from One World, again, September 24th. Pre-order your copy. I have a feeling that we're going to be talking about this book. You know what? Yeah, okay, we're going to take a moment. The Dutch House by Ann Patchett also comes out on September 24th. I have a hard time summarizing this book, so I'm going to read it to you. Ann Patchett needs no introduction, let's be honest. But this is a book that's set at the end of the Second World War. Cyril Conroy combines luck and single canny investment to become an enormous real estate empire, propelling his family from poverty to enormous wealth. His first order of business is to buy the Dutch House, a lavish estate in the suburbs outside of Philadelphia. Meant as a surprise for his wife, the house sets in motion the undoing of everyone he loves. The story is told from his son's point of view, Danny, as he and his older sister, the brilliantly acerbic and self-assured Maeve, are exiled from the house where they grew up by their stepmother. The two wealthy siblings are thrown back into the poverty their parents had escaped from and find that all they have to count on is each other. This is the unshakable bond between them that saves both their lives and thwarts their future. So, again, this cover is gorgeous. This is The Dutch House by Ann Patchett, and it comes out on September 24th. Okay, guys, I need a moment. I got to go grab a book. Give me a second. Okay, so I had to go grab Red in the Bone by Jacqueline Woodson. It was in another pile for another video. And it is coming out on September 17th. From Riverhead. And you guys know how huge of a fan I am of Jacqueline Woodson. This is the story of two families brought together by an unexpected pregnancy, a young pregnancy. I think the mom and dad are both 16, from very different walks of life, different economic situations, and how this event changes both of these families. I have started this, but I put it down because I'm seeing her in a couple weeks. I'm so excited, and I wanted to make sure it was fresh in my mind. So if you are in the Bay Area, Santa Cruz Bookstore is hosting her, I want to say, on September 23rd, and I will be there, actually, and my husband is coming with me to see Jacqueline Woodson, and so you should come if you're in the area, and you can come. Please come say hi. And another thing, I'm going to see Colson Whitehead at Santa Cruz Bookstore. Their event is this Thursday coming up, so if you're in the area and you want to see Colson Whitehead with me, come on down. My husband's not going to that one, but I will be there, and you should definitely come. So these are all the books that are coming out on September 17th and September 24th. I hope every single one of them made it to your TBR, you guys. As always, I wish you happy reading every time I have one of these videos. If you are a return subscriber to my channel, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. If you are new and this is your first video, I hope you guys come back for another video. So as always, I encourage you to shop locally, read globally, and until next time, I say goodbye. Bye!